Welcome to the FMCG Guys, the podcast that dives into the innovation, strategy, and trends shaping consumer goods and retail in Europe and beyond.
Welcome to the FMCG Guys podcast. I am your host, Daniel Torres. And here in this podcast, we speak with the top talent leaders and luminaries in the consumer goods and retail industries. By the way, when I'm not hosting this podcast, I am the head of executive search at Dwyer Partners, where I recruit exactly these top talent in the consumer goods and retail industries globally. We're now actually over 180 episodes in. So do go into our website or your favorite podcast platform to entertain yourself and be educated with some of the industry's top voices. And speaking about a lot of episodes, you have to remember that we have a sister podcast in the US and the other side of the Atlantic, the CPG guys, and they just hit 400 episodes. So congratulations to Shri and Peter and congrats on the good work. And I'm sure we'll see the episode number 500 very soon. And yeah, finally, if you haven't yet, remember to follow us on LinkedIn. We'll join a community of 16,000 members and counting. And you can also now find us on Instagram, where you'll find our latest and upcoming content. And by the way, we are planning on delivering more exciting content on both platforms very soon. So today, who am I accompanied by? On one side, Christina Nicolaou, right from straight out of the island of Naxos in Greece. How are you, Christina? Enjoying your time off?
Hi, Daniel. Enjoying it a lot. We have an amazing weather, incredible beaches. And then I'm hearing you talking about all the numbers that we have in the podcast and makes my day even more exciting.
And nothing like starting your day recording a podcast before you hit the beach, right?
Exactly.
How lucky you are. What a life. So on the other side, and straight from the Olympic city of Paris, we have Pierre-Yves Calloc'h, who's the Chief Digital Officer at Pernod Ricard. Hi, Pierre-Yves. How are you?
Hi Daniel, I'm very well and enjoying the Olympics, which are pretty nice to live in your own city.
Yeah, tell us, how does it feel to have the Olympics in your own city? Like, what can you notice the moment you leave your house? That is there anything that you can see different, like the moment that you leave and walk on the streets for 5 or 10 minutes?
Yeah, there's a special atmosphere. People are happy. There's less people. The city is quite unbusy,
Wow.
except around some of the Olympic sites. But it's super well organized, and I'm really happy I stayed to live this historical moment.
Well, good on you. Good on you. It's not everybody did, as we know. So, Pierre, let's go right into it. One thing that I really found interesting, because I'd heard about you as like the chief digital officer of Pernod Ricard, which is a title that you've held for the last few years. But then when I looked at your LinkedIn profile, I saw that you started first as a consultant and then as an IT director, who then turned into GM and then turned into a digital officer. Tell us a bit about that. How did that happen that you went from IT to being a GM in Latin America?
So yeah, I have actually different passions in life. So one is around technology. I really like the new things coming on the phone, looking at everything which is coming in terms of technology. But I also like business models. So what interests me in the work part is understanding the business models of everything, understanding how you get revenue, how you spend, how you make margins, how you develop a company, how you make consumers happy. And so when I started my career around the technology part, the first job actually, first as a trainee, I was working what was called at the time the World Wide Web, which looked really exciting. Started developing one of the first B2B websites for a stationery company. And then I had different jobs. As you said, I was also an IT director for different parts of the organization in Pernod Ricard. But I always wanted also to have the business part in terms of exposure, understanding better how it works. And this is why I've been asking almost after 2-3 years within the company, how could I move to that job of being a GM? Because this is how you see all the aspects of one of the affiliates we are running. We have about 70, a little more than 70 distribution companies in 70 countries. And so I did a lot of things. So every time there was a new project, I raised my hand saying, oh, yes, I want to participate. For example, we had there was in Spain a project to review the pricing strategy. I said, yeah, I want to participate. And there was another project where we were thinking, why don't we split distribution of products between the mainstream ones and the other ones. So I participated in the study on that project, etc. So this gave me, in addition to what you see in IT, which is a large scope of processes, things, and people, also some interaction with different people on pure business topics. And actually moving as a GM, so I really appreciated the company taking that bet because not everybody is doing it. However, you bring from the IT side quite a lot of knowledge. So there's, of course, the team management. I've always had teams between, let's say, 50, 100 people. So you've learned already how to manage a team. The good thing is that in IT, you cover and you have to understand quite a lot of the business parts, the one which are supported by different systems. What you don't see is the parts which are done on Excel, because that's and that's also a big part of the company. But actually, the move wasn't that complex. Also because I had a great team. So I started as a GM in Colombia, and we had a great Cody. Every person knowing really well their area, and so that helps to actually step into the job and understand better. And so actually the move was probably not as complex as I expected, and I really enjoyed it. So I was hiding every year when I was in Bogota, hoping for the group not to call me for another job because I was really enjoying it.
And yet you couldn't keep away from digital and tech overall because then you shifted back into that kind of domain. So tell us a little bit about that. How did you take this decision after you were enjoying the GM role as well so much?
Yeah, so at the time when I started in the Chief Digital Officer role, digital was about digital marketing and e-commerce. Mm-hmm. And funny enough, in Colombia, we had developed quite a lot of this part. I still remember when I was there, so I saw the rise and the rise of digital marketing and thought it was a really great way to differentiate from our competitor, which was quite strong in Colombia. And so we started to invest quite early and quite massively on digital marketing, and started also on exploring the e-commerce part in Colombia. And this is why actually I got a phone call from the group saying, yeah, what you're doing in Colombia is pretty advanced. It's actually more advanced than most of the other markets, but Colombia is really small. So why don't you come to Paris and help all the affiliates to raise their game on digital? So this is how I took the job. And it was just at the right time because we were past the first times where people are saying, no, digital is great, it's great, it's great, but without delivering concrete results, benefits, solutions, etc. And so I came in to make it concrete for the CEOs, for the marketing directors, the commercial directors, avoiding the pitfalls, the hype, because there's a lot of things you can do just by passion or to communicate, but at the end of the day, you need to deliver business impact. And so this is what my job started as a CDO, is to raise the level of maturity on digital marketing, meaning measuring the right KPIs, investing the right level of money, and on e-commerce, making sure that we had the right balance between our own websites and being present on the big websites, and also the right level of investment.
And I remember Pierre, when we spoke the first time, you explained me what your role was then, and I know that now it's very different. So you've gone basically from a very commercial role to, how would you call it today?
Yeah, so indeed, the job has evolved quite significantly because, in fact, I'm in charge of
The world has changed as well.
The world has changed. And so the two parts that I incubated, we said digital marketing and e-commerce, went to a reasonable level of maturity. So I handed over those domains to both the marketing and commercial directors at the group. And we onboarded 4 years ago the AI topic. So at the time, no ChatGPT, so there was not the hype of today. However, it was the right time where the technology was ready, and also the computing power was available to perform quite amazing things. So I'm still amazed almost every day of what you can do with AI. So we get quite amazed with ChatGPT, the Midjourney, and other tools that generate text, images, and videos. But what's called predictive AI, which is the manipulation of figures, the capacity to identify patterns in the past, to project and to forecast in the future, for me is equally amazing. And in a company like Pernod Ricard, where so we sell wines and spirits in a lot of countries around the world, being able to predict in 3 months how many bottles of Absolute we'll need worldwide, or how many bottles of Ballantine's will be needed by that retailer in the UK, is for me quite amazing, especially when you see the accuracy of the prediction. So that's one of the example of what we do, which is the forecasting of demand, which is one of the most common usage of predictive AI. But I'm still amazed with what our data scientists are doing, what they can identify in terms of patterns, new insights that we can get for the business.
And you've been on this journey, let's say, in AI. Of course, it's a buzzword for everybody now, but when you started, it was like 4 years ago. So you've developed a lot of things already in the company. When it comes to capabilities around making the company go on this journey with you, what would you say that are the main capabilities that you have developed?
So the capabilities are key, and we started not completely from scratch, because we had a small team which has started to do small projects, small proof of concepts. However, we were not getting the benefits and the scale which was needed. And so we decided to focus on a limited number of programs. One, for example, for the marketing, to do what's called the marketing mix modeling, which is for one brand, let's say Martell in the US, to identify how much you should be spending on TV, on social media, on out-of-home displays. In order to do that, you need quite a lot of things. So you need a lot of data first. So you need 3 years of history of data, both of the marketing you have been spending and the sales. And for this, you need one first part of capabilities is a data management team, which is capable of classifying the data that you will source then in each country. You need the data governance that's going to explain what is the role of each person. So, for example, you need what we call data stewards that know really the business, which are located in my example in the US, that will check the data we get from Nielsen, from retailers, from third parties, and that can make sure that what we will feed the algorithm with is the right information. Then you need to process that information to identify the correlations. How much my sales went up when I invested on a TV campaign, even if at the same time there was some social media investment, etc. So this is where the data scientists come in. And a second capability is the capability to actually have the algorithm learn from the past and then infer, so identify what will be the additional sales we'll get if we invest this or that amount of money. And this is where the data scientists take the different data, group it, structure it in a certain way, feed the algorithms for the learning, and then make sure that the results can be done. And then you have also machine learning engineers, which are people which are specialized in making sure that the code that we write is performing, is adaptable to different countries. So these are more specialists of the coding part. And to help all of that, you need to make sure that you can communicate with the people in the business. So the marketing teams, the sales team, the financial team. So here we have a mix of data analysts, which are discussing daily with the people in the different teams to explain to them the data, to also make sure that the data is well fed. And we have also a team of what we call deployment lead and managers, which help each of the countries to actually run through a project. From the initial engagement, during the project, gathering all the information, all the right people during the project, doing, of course, training, explanation, and post-go live support. So all those new capabilities were not existing 4 years ago. So we've ramped up quite fast because we've recruited more than 100 people in 18 months to be able to scale those programs. Because from the beginning, the fact that we had planned to scale the different programs we've launched meant that we had a plan of recruitment, creating the right skills internally to be able not only to deploy the new projects, but also to run them once implemented.
Sounds very much like a startup, like the way that you're recruiting people fast and growing so fast. Nothing that you would be expecting from a big FMCG.
Yes, and yeah, it's exactly what you're saying. It's really a startup mindset that we have in the team. And so we've had to adapt a number of processes within the company, even for recruitment. So we had a great person, which was our contact in the HR teams, that helped us to review the process for recruitment to be able to do this in a extremely more and faster turnaround. So we've been changing a number of processes to be able to do this is a big group which has a lot of rules, etc., which are well adapted for other types of projects and other timelines. So it's super interesting to be able to do that within a big company.
And another thing that I think is super interesting is the fact that when we think about AI capabilities and so on, a lot of times we think of like, yeah, let's just throw some AI into the company, but they're not aware. I think a lot of people are not aware of like actually how labor intensive it is to build that capability. And you talked about like the data management, data processing, linking one data point with another so it all makes sense. Maybe there is a point where it can be automatized, but in order to build that, you can't just like throw some AI from an external supplier and wish for the best, no?
Which I think exactly. It's actually it's quite intense because one of the complexities is that you need to adapt to each country's specific landscape, specific availability of information, specific rules. And unfortunately, it's not all the same everywhere. The data availability is not the same. So in some cases, you have competitors' data. In some cases, you don't have it. You have it at the right granularity. So it can be at the country level, it could be sufficient, but sometimes you want to have it at a regional level. And so just making that data available is quite labor intensive. And then, in fact, the programs do not work 100% of the time. So, for example, in Pernod Ricard, we have a quite wide portfolio. And what we see is that we can make the example I was taking about marketing mix modeling only on 8 to 10 brands with a reasonable accuracy. The great thing of doing it internally is that we are telling transparently to marketing teams, okay, it's working on those 8 brands, but on those other 7, it doesn't work. Whereas if you source the services externally and you say, okay, I want a prediction on 15 brands, usually the external company will give you a prediction on 15 brands because you've paid for it. And otherwise, if you give, you get only for 8, you will say, no, I'm not paying for everything.
It's a failed project. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what are your plans for the next couple of years in terms of AI? Anything that you can unveil?
Well, in fact, of course, there's the Gen AI part, which is I would say the shiny part, both because it's impressive. I mean, the first time I tested ChatGPT, actually after 5 minutes, I was asking what should be the strategy, digital strategy of Pernod Ricard, and wow, the result was spot on. And then I thought, wow, maybe I don't have a job anymore. Like probably many people have thought at some stage. But then you realize what you're doing also in real life, which is discussing with different people, taking into consideration a lot of things at the same time. But it's a great thing because it helps you identify what is your real value, because the knowledge is now easier to access. And I've read an article actually just this morning saying that we are moving from knowledge worker to wisdom workers. So it's super interesting because the knowledge is now much more easily accessible to anyone. And so to answer your question, so Gen AI is of course one of the topics we're currently investing on, and we're in the process of making sure that we use it in the best way for the marketing content creation, for example, which is one of the obvious applications. There are also a lot of applications that you can have in legal to help support internal legal teams. In finance, we produce quite a lot of financial comments every year. There's the HR department when you can do a number of basic, I would say, support on administrative tasks for employees. So we have a number of areas that we have decided to look into in more details. And we are going to move in the same way we've done with the predictive AI, is that by focusing on our efforts on limited number of projects, because you could run 2,000 different projects at the same time because it's quite amazing. But then the complexity of all those technologies is not the technology itself. It's quite available today. Even every consumer, every person can have a really nice access to ChatGPT or similar tools. The complexity in a company is to change the processes, to make sure that people make the most out of it, and that you get actual benefits as a company from the usage. Beyond the initial things we are all doing now, please write this email in a much better way. Please translate this properly in English. And I've seen the level of English of a lot of emails rising quite significantly in the past 6 months. So we have a significant number of projects, and also supply chain will be for us another domain where we will be applying AI in a more intense way, starting from September.
Nice.
And I guess we have moved a lot from where we were 2 years ago. Now, most companies, most people have access or are way more familiar with AI and some capabilities. But if you put like your visionary hat on and looking in the future, what do you see the ultimate potential would be? And I know that you already thought, you told us that, okay, do I have a job anymore or not? Should people be wary?
Yeah, so it's funny because my first son is studying design, and he called me about 8 months ago saying, wow, have you seen what you can do with Midjourney, etc.? I don't have a job anymore in design, so everything will be done by AI. And then I told him, I just saw a quote on Instagram, I think, of somebody saying, "You won't be replaced by AI. You will be replaced by somebody using AI if you don't." And the same way that today all the taxis are using Waze. It wasn't the case when it started because taxi was thinking, no, but I know city better. This is my value, etc. Now all taxis are using it, and it's first because they've seen the additional value, because they cannot know about an accident which is happening south of Paris that happened 15 minutes ago. It's just not possible. So they're getting more information. The optimization which are done are good. However, the taxis are better than Uber. So now that the taxis are using Waze, I'm taking taxis again because they are better than Ubers, because they don't follow directly and all the time what the Waze is saying, because sometimes they do know better. And so this is what I see happening, is that a lot of functions will be augmented by AI. There are few tasks that where some tasks can be replaced by AI. I was mentioning translation, basic translation of text, but advanced translation of text are not good. When you're doing also translating a company text, ChatGPT doesn't know your company vocabulary, the culture, etc. So there are basic tasks that can be replaced, and then a job is a collection of different tasks and different skills. And so out of, let's say, I'm doing 20 different tasks in my job, there might be 2 which are replaced, 10 which are augmented, because I'm getting better access, better initial translation of English of what I would ever do. But at the end of the day, you need people to put the tasks together, to interact with other people, to convince, to pitch for budgets, to pitch for a new idea, etc. And this is where the role of everybody in the company slightly changes, but people for me will not be replaced, and people will evolve, and I'm evolving the same way now. Amazing what I'm doing with a cell phone. I wasn't doing before, and I think the interesting part, which I haven't seen a lot yet happening, is new businesses coming out. So the new businesses coming out, if you look at the internet, new businesses came out from the internet, but it has taken some time. So Amazon came out, Netflix came out, etc. And so we need to see what are the new businesses which are going to come. And this is one of the challenges for a company like us, is to identify those ideas, bet on them, give them the proper environment to grow, to pivot at some stage maybe, and then to create potentially new businesses for companies. So that's for me the area that's going to come. It's going to take time. If you look at new businesses coming out of the internet, it took 5 to 10 years. I think the things coming out of AI, Gen AI, will take a little more time than just 1 year and a half, which is what's the life now of ChatGPT.
Which makes me think, will there be an AI bubble bursting at some point? But yeah, until there's not more companies coming out, I guess we won't know that.
You're thinking like the .com bubble.
Exactly. That's maybe, I think that's partly why the internet company thing delayed as well. By the way, another area that you're looking after, Pierre-Yves, is the whole digitalization of route to market, which is a topic that we're very excited about here, and we've talked about with several companies in the last few months. What are you doing in that area?
Okay, yeah, so that's for us, it's a key topic, because a big part of what we do is distributing our products. So we've done one project, for example, on AI, which, for example, our sales rep in the countries where we've deployed, every Monday morning get a clear recommendation of the outlets they should be visiting that week. And it's based on specific clustering of the different outlets. So that's one of the areas where we've been investing. But also in terms of digitalization, we've been developing an eB2B platform. What is an eB2B platform? It's concretely, it's an app that we propose to our wholesalers. So in a lot of countries, we distribute through retailers like Carrefour, Walmart, etc. But in a lot of countries, the main part of our distribution is through a network of wholesalers that we want to empower and help them to digitalize. So we give them an app on which their customers, which can be some moms and pops, small bars, small outlets, are ordering to the wholesalers through the app. And we don't want at all to replace the wholesaler. This is a specific business. They have a specific knowledge. And we, as a big company, we wouldn't be efficient to do their job. They are much more efficient. So what we're doing is we are giving them that app that we've called Easy24. And the great thing is that they can now take orders 24 hours a day. They can run a specific promotion. They can showcase also the full portfolio that they have. So not only our products, but also products from the competition, additional products that they might have. So the interesting part is that now we can see the flows of a lot of FMCGs going on that platform. And for us in Pernod Ricard, it's a great tool. Because we make sure that the outlets have the full visibility of our portfolio. Usually wholesalers have a lot of products. They can have 100, 200, 300 SKUs to sell. And the commercial teams of the wholesalers were usually focusing on our top 2 or 3. So they would focus on Absolut and Ballantine's, for example, let's say in Mexico. And now they can see the full extent of our portfolio. They can also see the promotion. So a bar would see, okay, we have a promotion this week on Monkey 47, my preferred gin in the portfolio.
Very nice one.
And so it's something that the outlets were not seeing before. So we have additional visibility for Pernod Ricard products, additional visibility of the promotions. The wholesalers are happy because it helps them also to reach more outlets more frequently. And the outlets are super happy to be able to have access to the information in their pocket, just on their cell phone.
When you look at it, it feels very rational that they are happy, right? Because of all the benefits it gets. But I'm wondering, how did you go about it? Was it easy to get like an old-fashioned wholesaler and get them onto this new platform and tell them like, this is the benefit for your business. Please trust us and join us?
Yeah, you have a right point, Christina, because that's the most complex part. The most complex part is convincing the wholesalers to go in. So there are different parts of the wholesalers that you need to take into account because it's a company like ours. So the main concern usually is with the people in the sales force because they are concerned that they are going to be replaced. And we're having the same pitch. You won't be replaced except by somebody who's using the app. But here, one key point is to give the right incentive to the sales team of the wholesaler, saying that all the sales that will go through the platform will count part of their objectives, and that changes quite a lot. So that's one of the thing. We need also to confirm to the wholesaler that our goal is not to replace them and to bypass them, because in the past a lot of companies have said, okay, we're going to put on a website so that we can bypass the distribution network. And this is where we explain to them why their business is unique and a company like us couldn't do the same thing. It's too complex for us to have, I don't know, 100, 200, 3,000 warehouses in a country like Mexico, Colombia, or South Africa, where we are present. And so that part of explaining why and what is our business model and what is our interest as a FMCG company is key in the process. And then there's some elements of training. You explain how the solution works, how people can access to the information at a different level. So what we call change management in general for the wholesaler is a big part of the process. Actually, the application is relatively simple. We wanted to go for a low-cost application because if you look at the overall value that there is in that chain of distribution, distributors and wholesalers make small margins. So we couldn't have something that costs, you can see those applications which are costing 3 to up to 3% of the turnover. This is much too high. So we wanted something that is low cost to maintain, so that we don't have to pass on the cost to the wholesalers. And this is the way we've developed the project.
And one thing that you mentioned that I think is really like interesting is the fact that you said that you don't only sell your products, but you also, the idea is to sell every product that wholesaler would like to sell, including products of the competition. So a lot of other brands obviously listen to this podcast. So I wanted to ask you, like, what's in it for them to join this platform?
Okay, so indeed, we're actually quite interested, and so we've been approached with a few FMCG companies which are interested because sometimes they have tried like us at the very beginning. So we started that project about 5 years ago in Mexico, and at the beginning we were selling only Pernod Ricard products. Taking a step back, it was a little short-sighted because the wholesaler is not that interested. The outlets are not that interested because they are buying usually from 10, 20, 30 different FMCG companies in terms of products. So it was short-sighted. And really quickly we opened, and actually the wholesaler said, I want to put more products. And also the outlet saying, yeah, I want to order just Pernod Ricard products. And sometimes they were not even knowing which products were coming from which this company. And so a few companies like us have started on just selling their products. And now some companies are wanting to join forces because we can be part of the same, distributed by the same wholesalers, present in the same outlets. So actually, we are in the first stages of opening up to other FMCGs. Actually, and we want to partner. The idea is to share the cost. The main cost is actually the cost of deployment. So identifying new wholesalers, convincing them, explaining to the sales force how the things work. And the benefits for the other FMCG are the same like the ones we have, meaning that they can access the information. So we have, for example, we have some really nice insights about some products which are sold in specific outlets. The great thing is that, like we do for consumers with traditional retailers, we can identify the baskets, what our outlets buying together. And we can see some of our products being sold with some other products. So the FMCG get access to all those insights. And of course, they can have a better visibility of their products and having their wholesalers performing better. What we see is an increase for the wholesalers of 10 to 15% of their sales due to the frequency and also the breadth of products that the outlets are buying. So their wholesalers, which are usually like us, we have favorite wholesalers, and this is the first one we are equipping. So those are performing better. So it means that the FMCG company is performing better in the market, more distribution, better efficiency of promotions, and we are working together. So we are starting just now to open to other FMCGs. So you can find me on LinkedIn, or I guess there will be a link with the podcast if you are interested. And there's a new person running the project called Catalina, who's going to be happy to discuss the way we can work together.
Yeah, we always leave the name of the guest with their LinkedIn profile in the show notes, but we could also leave the name of Catalina as well if they want to get in touch with you. And yeah, of course, we feel free, by the way, if you want to make any announcements regarding the EC24 platform to leverage our page on LinkedIn, we'll definitely make space for it if needed.
Great.
If it can be of help.
So it's just in terms of, to be precise, in terms of countries. So we have started with, initially started in Mexico, and then we have deployed in, so Colombia, I mentioned it before. We are in South Africa. We are also in Spain and in Singapore. And in Singapore, it's quite impressive because about 80% of our sales are going now through the platform.
Wow.
And so it changes the way our distribution company is working there in a quite amazing ways.
And looking ahead now geographically, but also in terms of developing the app and developing the partnerships, what would you say the next, let's say, 3 years look like?
For me, the next 3 years for this kind of platform, so eB2B in general is taking quite a lot of space now because a lot of the transactions are starting to be made on those platforms. And so this is a little like the e-commerce like 10 years ago. And it's not mature yet. And I think there's a lot of possibilities of things that you can do. For me, in the future, it will be about a personalization. So being able to personalize the offer, which is proposed to each of the outlets to be more relevant, to bring in added value. We can make recommendations. Actually, it's super interesting because with the tool that we've developed for our sales force, saying these are the products that should be present in this kind of outlet. In fact, we can give that information directly to the outlets, saying, given the characteristics of your outlet, the location, the people living around the store, living around the bar, etc. This is the best setup of products that you should have in your outlet, so that the consumers are finding what they want. And this is what we want in Pernod Ricard, is making sure that where you're going to your favorite beach in Greece, you can find maybe you're a fan of Malibu and you want to find it in your bar near the beach. And this is what we want of our distribution network, is that the bar, which is just there, knows that you're coming, that you like Malibu, because you've seen a lot of advertisements in Athens and your friends are having Malibu. And so, yeah, at the end of the day, you want your pina colada with one of the best spirits to make it. And so this is one of the things which is really important for us. We're spending a lot of time to make people excited about enjoying their favorite products with their friends. And if they don't find it in the convenience store, then in the street next to their apartment, it's for us it's a loss. For the consumer, it's a loss. For the outlet, it's a loss. And so this is what we think we should have, is really a personalization of the offer, made on not just a commercial push or a promotion, but really made on what people want and give them the right product at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like meeting with the consumer where they are, no, ultimately. And Pierre, we were talking at the beginning of the unusual, but I think a pretty amazing career journey you've had, going from IT to general manager, now running digital first in a commercial way, and now more looking at the future really of how it can really add value to Pernod. But we have this one question that we ask all our guests, which is, with everything that you've done in your career, if you had to go back to your younger self when you were starting out, what would be that one piece of advice you would give yourself?
Probably I would paraphrase a nice sentence from one of our competitors, so keep learning. So keep learning all the time things, and especially it's amazing today the speed at which things evolve. Consumer trends, geopolitical things, technology, collective psychology, etc. The level of things which are evolving is getting a little crazy. And the great thing is when I went out of university, there was already the internet. So the access to knowledge, people, potential mentors, experiences, learnings, etc., is really easy. And so keeping that learning spirit is key. Both, and this is the great thing about ChatGPT, is that summarizes everything in a really concise way. But I really like also to go back to the source. In business books, you have always those 5 to 10 business books that are talking about similar things, but they all reference the one business book, which is the source. And I like to go to that one source at some stages. And the same goes for I don't know whether it's project management or organization, new technologies, etc. Actually, think that it's key in the world of today to keep learning. And the great things, because I have 4 kids, is that I keep also seeing how they're seeing the world in a really different ways. I have the chance also of my husband is an entrepreneur, so I'm exposed to all the startups and that world. You probably can feel it, excited by the novelty in general, and so getting exposed to all this, both in the business part but also in personal life, is something for me which is the recommendation I would give to myself, my younger self, as you proposed.
This was Pierre-Yves Calloc'h, Chief Digital Officer at Pernod Ricard. Christina, what are your key takeaways from this conversation?
Long conversation with a lot of insights, as Pierre has an incredible career, right? With a lot of learning from IT to GM and then back to digital. I think we spoke a lot about AI, which I believe it was a first for the episodes we've done, like to spend so much time.
To go so deep into it, yes, yeah.
Yeah, they have developed a lot of capabilities and really got kind of like the grasp of it. Not now that's a buzzword and, let's put an AI generated on everything that we do. But they have been on a journey of 4 years. I loved how he discussed about the necessity of limiting the products that you put on AI in order to be as effective as you can with the tools that you have. But looks like Pernod is also working a lot on developing the internal capabilities, from data sourcing and engineering and putting the right governance in, to having the data scientists work on all the processes and identifying all the correlations they need, and how they are using machine learning to train the algorithms internally, down to the point of how do I communicate this back to the business. So I need some analysts and I need some people to help with the deployment, right?
Yeah. Well, I think that for the AI magic to happen, you need to have that data in order. No, I think that's something that we're learning more and more. And he said, they hired 100 people in the last...
something like very few months. I think that this is the most incredible part, Daniel, that we fail to understand, that we cannot expect a part of the business to start working like a startup and start accelerating and delivering such speedy growth while the rest of the business is not supporting. You need to have the flexibility in your processes. And we're not talking really about the actual, how do you deploy your pricing? This is really about how do I recruit people fast? How do I get talent to come in, on board them fast, and have them stay with us so that we can go into this kind of exponential growth journey.
Totally. And then I think it will be interesting to track Pierre-Yves and his team in the next few years, because he talked about Gen AI, about linked to marketing, content creation, but then he said use cases for legal, finance, HR, and supply chain. I think that will be interesting as well.
It will be. And I felt that more and more people that come on the podcast also have that more holistic view. When you ask them about what they're excited in the future, they do not only talk about the strict route to market and route to consumer part, but rather on all the back office, let's say, functions.
Yeah, which linked to that, I think that this conversation had 2 big buckets, right? AI and then route to market and their EZ24 platform, which I think is interesting. It makes a lot of sense, but of course, it will be interesting to see how they onboard other FMCG companies and ultimately what potential, because digital route to market is here to stay, obviously. So be interesting to see how this ends up forming and consolidating, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. But also, I love the approach that Pierre-Yves had on that, because it wasn't just let's take the route to market and see how we just digitize it, right? It feels as almost a new business model, like a separate one, because it has a clear USP. He was talking about here's how we're giving our products visibility, enhancing our assortment, giving more visibility to our promotions. Here's how we bring value to the wholesaler, how we bring value to the company and to the consumer, because then ultimately they're able to find what they need. And this is why also other FMCG companies would like to join us, because then they take advantage of those unique benefits. So it's not just I have a distribution network and they just want to make the interactions between the different parties digital. It's really about bringing value to it. And he mentioned something like wholesalers growing 10 to 15% up in their sales. And they also know why. He mentioned like this is because of the frequency as well. So they have a very clear view on how sales are growing and what is the role of this platform to enhance this.
Absolutely. Well, these were great takeaways, Christina. Thanks so much. Thanks to our audience as well. If you enjoyed the podcast, please leave us a review. It will take you 2 minutes and will add a ton of value to us, because it will make us more findable to other members of the FMCG and retail community. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next episode every Wednesday and every Saturday.